Welcome to the Catholic Life Coach Podcast. My name is Carla Fitz. I'm a certified life coach, wife, and mom of two beautiful little girls. My hope for this podcast is to offer support and empower other Catholic women to live their most authentic life. To share life coaching tools from a Catholic perspective in order to help you live a more fulfilling life filled with peace, joy, and abundance. Let's get started. Hello, my loves, and welcome. I am so excited. Today is one of those episodes that I'm having a new friend come over with me and having conversations, and these are always so much fun. So I want to welcome Christy to this podcast, and I'm so excited to have you. Go ahead and
Thank
just
you
introduce
so much.
yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Carla, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And we had a little conversation before this and we got to connect. And so I've just been so looking forward to speaking with you. I'm Christie Walker. I am the Catholic sobriety coach. I'm a life and sobriety coach for Catholic women who are noticing that maybe drinking is becoming a little bit of a problem for them. They don't necessarily have like a drinking problem, but alcohol is definitely causing some chaos in their lives. And then I also work with women who are in recovery from alcohol addiction. I am a recovering alcoholic myself with over 27 years of sobriety. So I know that when we stop drinking, everything doesn't always get magically perfect. And there's a lot of other things that we have to address and talk about and obstacles that need to be removed. So that's a little bit about what I do. I'm a mom of three boys. I have twins who are 17. They're going to be seniors this year. So I might be a little bit of a mess when May rolls around. And then my youngest is 11. My husband and I have been married for almost 20 years, and we live in the beautiful but very unchurched Pacific Northwest.
Wow. I love it. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because I want you to share your story too, because this topic for me is not like it wasn't alcohol, but it was food and it was still an addiction and just overcoming that. I just want to hear, yeah, tell us a little bit about your story. How, like what happened, how you got here. Yes, all of it.
Sure. So I actually started drinking at a relatively early age. I was in high school. I was probably like a sophomore in high school. And I can tell you that from the beginning, like alcohol was this magic elixir for me. It was kind of this key to this world that I so wanted to be a part of, but didn't know how to crack the code. And that was being social, having fun, having lots of friends. And so alcohol was kind of it for me. I never drank like a normal person. I could not just have one or two or even three. I would pretty much drink until either we ran out of alcohol because we were minors, so we couldn't just get it anytime we wanted. We didn't have unlimited supply typically, or I blacked out.
Mhm.
And this went on off and on until I was in my 20s. And then, of course, when I turned 21, it got even worse because then I could get my own alcohol. And my friends and my roommates and everybody got pretty tired of me. I moved a lot. I had a lot of friends, but it's like, who wants to be around somebody that drinks constantly and isn't really
Mhm.
reliable? And so I tell people all the time, like when your drinking buddies tell you that you have a drinking problem, you should probably listen up because they want you to keep drinking typically because, you know,
Yes.
it's just what they do too. And it makes them feel good to have other people who are drinking around them or even drink more. So I tried to get sober a little bit earlier, like probably when I was like 22. I checked myself into outpatient recovery treatment
Mhm.
at a medical facility. That was only really because my boss was like, "You're going to lose your job." And my friend and roommate was like, "You're going to have to find another place to live. Like, I can't take this anymore." So they both encouraged me to get help. So I did that. And it didn't go super well, but I think I got 90 days. I honestly can't remember if I got all
Yeah.
the way to 90 days. I didn't go to AA meetings or anything like that. I was just part of this group. And then once that was over, oh, and the other thing was I kept doing what I had always done, which was go to bars and everything. I would just like glare at everyone, like, you are drinking and I am not, like just looking at them, like, look at what I'm missing out on. So I ended up, that didn't work out well. So I ended up drinking again. But then at the age of 23, by the grace of God, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to stop.
Yeah.
I I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to get in a car wreck. I'm going to end up in jail or homeless or something. And so I decided, like, I'm just going to go to the store. I'm going to buy a 6-pack of cheap beer and some Zima. And I'm just dating myself with that. Zima, if you are my age, you know what I'm talking about. And I
I have no idea what
drank
that is.
myself. I know, because you're young. It's like this disgusting, like clear malt beverage. So anyway, it was kind of all the rage. You can Google it when we're done and
Yes,
see.
I will.
But I drank all that. I blacked out and or passed out, whatever, and woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, I'm done.
Wow.
So that was the last time that I drank. And I told my mom knew that I was struggling and things. And so I had told my mom, like, this is what happened. I'm not drinking again. And she told me, like, that day that you stopped drinking, that was actually the 10-year anniversary of your grandma's death. And so, and my grandma and I were super, super close. And so I just saw that as a sign of her intercession and really like fighting for me. And I didn't really want to mess that up. So I just was like, I wasn't really a like one day at a time type person. I was a more
Mhm.
of a like, I'm never drinking again type person. But
Yeah.
did, I did end up going to AA for a couple of years and I appreciate AA. Yeah. And I got what I needed out of it. So I'm thankful for it. But then I lived like the next, and it's a mess. It's a twisted story, like all of these ups and downs, because like I said, when you quit drinking, everything doesn't magically
Mhm.
get better. It's a process. And so, and I also was kind of fallen away from the faith. So it's my sobriety journey and my faith journey are very tightly intertwined.
Mhm.
But I will say that at one point when I was drinking, I really didn't feel like God was really, like he didn't really care
Yeah.
about what I was doing. I didn't really feel like there was any reason to, I mean, I would pray like when I wanted stuff or when I
Yeah.
really was in a bad situation or something. But other than that, I didn't really pray.
Mhm.
And I just felt like God really wasn't interested in me, like he was busy and had other people that were um, more on the straight and narrow that he would
Mm.
want to answer their prayers first.
No.
And but I did have an encounter that kind of changed the trajectory of my drinking. I feel like that's kind of the pivotal point that kind of um, changed me and got me thinking about like, oh, this is actually a problem. And it was, I had passed out one night, I was drinking, I was by myself, and all of a sudden woke up and I was choking. And I
Mm.
felt like someone was choking me. Like I literally, I can still feel it. It felt like I had somebody's hands were around my neck.
Mm.
And I looked up, and this again was probably, I think I was in a dream state. I looked up, and there was just this dark figure over me, just kind of oppressing me, like really, really has its grips on me. And I thought I was going to die. I'm like, oh, this is it. Like I've drunk myself into like point of no return. I'm
Yeah.
lost. And then all of a sudden there was like this huge like light figure that like came up over it. And in my mind it just said like not yet. And it that black figure just like went away. And I remember just gasping for air. Now, I wish I could say that day I stopped drinking and I turned my life over to God and it was like all sweet and tied up in a nice
Yeah.
bow, but that is not how it went. 'Cause I'm stubborn. But I will say that was the first time in a very long time that I was like, you know what? Maybe God does care about me. Maybe he
Yes.
does care about what's going on with me. And so, and I got more of that when I went to AA, because there's a lot of very Catholic underpinnings in AA. And so I really turned to God in that time, and it just has grown and flourished on. But continuing with my story, I just kind of like lived my life as somebody that's alcohol free. I like got married, had my babies. I built a digital marketing business. And then in 2020, I was like, I need to do something. I'm either going to really kick it into gear and build this business bigger, or I'm going to do something else. So I hired a business coach, and she was helping me do that, a Catholic business coach. She was helping me do that. And in the meantime, I celebrated my 25 years of sobriety. And honestly, I hardly ever remembered my sobriety date. Like my mom and my husband were always like, good job, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, oh, thanks. So that's really embarrassing to say that I kind of took for granted this thing that has allowed me to do everything that I've been able to do, that has brought me back to my faith, that has given me a beautiful family and all of these things. But I just really took it for granted, and I didn't think about it until 25 years of sobriety. My mom got me a coin. So I don't, if you know anything about AA and recovery, there's these coins, these chips that you get to kind of mark milestones. And she gave me one for 25 years, and I was like, oh, that's so nice, and so I took it, and then, but I really, something about that changed something in me, because God just spoke into my life, and he's like, this is not for you, just you anymore. Like, you need to share it. So the more I worked with my coach, I was like, I really feel like I'm called to coaching. And she's like, great. Like, what are you going to help people do? And I'm like, I really am very passionate about like the Holy Spirit and spiritual gifts and all of that. And so I was like, I know, I'll be a spiritual gifts coach. And she's like, well, that's nice. People like to know that stuff, but that's not really a problem per se. So what, like, what else what do you feel like God's calling you to? And I'm like, I don't know. So I prayed and prayed and prayed. And I was like recovery. I need to help Catholic women who are in recovery. They feel alone, and, they need to kind of build back their life after getting sober.
Yeah.
And so that was who I was honed in on. And I specifically said, like, I want to work with women who have at least a year or more sober. And so, because you kind of go through a lot of things that first year. And so I thought, well, if they go through all of the first year, then I can help them with like the life coaching stuff after that and kind of get back. But he's like, yes, you're going to do that, but I have something else for you too. And he kept putting these women in front of me that they would never label themselves up as an alcoholic. They would never go to an AA meeting. They would never like do certain things that like people who are in that really hurting, desperate place will do. Like, they wouldn't go to rehab. They wouldn't, they're just, they're functioning, they're doing fine. Not really an addiction per se, but it is an attachment that they need to get rid of. And it's starting to cause chaos in their life. It's starting to become a problem for them.
Yeah.
And so the Lord is like, I need you to stand in the gap. I need you to be there between like the normal drinkers and the people that are suffering from addiction or recovering from addiction. There's nobody in this space, especially the Catholic space, helping these women and saying like, look, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you. You're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just using alcohol as a Band-Aid fix. Let's figure out what's going on. And then you can decide what level of sobriety is right for you, so you can take alcohol or leave it from a place of peace.
Yeah, I love that because I think for each one of us is very different. We're gonna be in a different stage or a different need, but your story is so empowering because you were in the very, very like the darkness of the addiction where you could not control it. And for me, this is why like I related to your story so much because my thing was very the same. It wasn't alcohol, it was food, but I cold turkeyed everything too. Because for me, it was sugar. My specific addiction was peanut butter. Like I just wanted to eat peanut butter all the time because it was the thing that calmed me down. And I just decided I'm no longer going to be eating peanut butter because it's just not beneficial. Like for you were the headaches, and for me it was the pain in my stomach every morning and how
Right.
bloated and uncomfortable I felt in my body. And it was learning to just simply stop is not an easy thing. And I love what you said. Once you stop, then it kicks in because all of the thoughts, all of the beliefs, now you don't have, like you called it, you don't have the band aid anymore. And all of these beliefs, thoughts, emotions start coming really to the surface. And that's when we have the opportunity to heal. It's like it's one thing to decide, but then you have the actual healing of it that comes after you decide, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And and the the devil likes to tempt us, right?
Oh,
So that he can
yes.
shame us. So he's like, "Oh, it's fine. Like you deserve that. You deserve
Yes.
that spoonful of peanut butter. You deserve that glass of wine. You've worked hard and it's a treat and it'll
And
be
it's
so
not a
good."
big deal.
And
That
it's
was my
not, yeah,
favorite
you're
thought.
not hurting anyone. It's
Yes.
fine.
Hmm.
But then the minute you give into that temptation, that's when he hits you, right?
Yeah.
With like, you're horrible. How could you do that? Oh, now look at you. You don't feel good today because you did that. Like, God doesn't love you. I mean, he just like attacks he knows all your
Hmm.
sore spots and he just pummels them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think knowing that and realizing that and knowing like yeah, staying away from it is part of the battle, but then we have to, before it becomes a habit, before we get out of that habit and create new habits,
Mhm.
it's going to be uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
going to be like super uncomfortable, but it's okay.
But it's
Like
okay. Yeah.
anytime we start anything, it's going to be uncomfortable until it just becomes part of our life.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth remembering that we are always choosing, it's uncomfortable either way. Because
Right.
when you drink too much, you're uncomfortable in the drinking. And when you quit drinking, it's uncomfortable to be outside of it. Same when it
Mhm.
comes to food. I was uncomfortable all of the time while I was eating too much. And then I quit and then I was uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do with my life. Like it's just,
Mhm.
but that's when we have the opportunity to choose which discomfort we would rather be in, which one's
Yeah.
going to lead us to the person we want to become, and which one is just
Mhm.
destroying us. And I
Mhm.
think it's also beautiful to remember that God loves us through it all.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's never leaving us alone and like, okay, you figured out. He wants us to be healthy. He wants us to live a fulfilling life and not, yeah, he doesn't leave us in any moment. But
No, he's always there. And, just calling upon like the Holy Spirit to kind of
mhm,
strengthen your spiritual gifts so that you have that fortitude to persist and you can be temperate in whatever you're
yeah,
choosing, or realizing like it's not for me. Like me, I would never have another drink of alcohol because if I do, I might be fine for a day. I might
yeah,
be fine for a month. I might be able to moderate for a year, but it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be, I'm going to feel like trash, like it's
yeah.
both inside and out. And it
Mhm.
is not worth it to me. So, like you said, choose your hard, right? Choose your
Yeah.
uncomfortable because it's going to be uncomfortable either way. And then I think it's funny how we play mind games with ourselves. Like I'll have clients, and I know I do this with certain things, like dairy. Like I love ice cream. And so forever when my stomach would hurt, I'd be like, "Oh, it must be this. Oh, it must be that. Oh, no, Christy. It's the ice cream. Like
Yeah.
give it up. Like or
Mhm.
choose it sparingly or, whatever it is." But a lot of times with my clients, they've tried everything. They've tried, like, they might be super healthy, like good exercisers. They may detox in the morning. They may do all these things and they still feel miserable, or they're still not able to meet their health goals. And then when they remove that alcohol, they're like, oh, oh,
Yes.
that's what it was.
But for
Probably
me, it
like
was,
for you too, like with the peanut butter, it was like
yeah, yeah.
anything but that. Like it has to be anything,
Yes.
but not that.
Although I do have a shame thing and it's coffee. Like, I don't
Oh,
care. I'm not quitting. That's the one thing.
I love coffee too. Yeah.
No, but I think my other thing was flour. That was the thing that I would avoid thinking about. It's like, oh
Mhm.
no, it must be this, it must be dairy. I remember thinking the same thing. That makes me uncomfortable. And then I'm like, I remember my first coach, she was like, Carla, you need to remove the flour, and then you'll notice that your swelling will go down and then you'll be more comfortable. I'm like, nah, I can't be that. And I tried it and I have not been able, like, I still eat toast in the morning every once in a while, but it has to be one toast and then that's it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise my stomach can handle it. My body can't handle it. And I'm 8 months and I'm 8.5 months pregnant. And this is the very first pregnancy when I'm not swollen. I'm still wearing my wedding ring.
Wow.
That has
That's awesome.
never happened. But it's that one thing that we don't want to quit
Mhm.
because we give so much importance to, and
Mhm.
we've gained so much pleasure for it. Because it was like cookies and cake and that kind of stuff that I don't eat because it's just not beneficial anymore. And you become
Mhm.
that person. But as you were talking, there was something I wanted to mention, and it is the connection to people. Because I think the reason why we drink, we eat, we overeat is because we want to create, it's a social thing, right? It's like we want to get
Mhm.
together and have a drink with a friend or have a cupcake with some friends, like whatever, just go out to eat. Talk about that because it's
Yeah.
the discomfort of like that connection or the fear to not connect if you don't.
Oh, 100%. Like the things that women worry about or why they don't want to even like examine their drinking habit too closely or change it is because first of all, they don't want to have a label. They're afraid that they'll get
Mhm.
labeled something. And that's not true. Like you don't have to have that. And the other thing is, will I lose friends? Will my relationship with so and so change? Will my relationship with my husband change? Like if there's a
Mhm.
lot of women I work with that especially during COVID, like it became like a time of like connecting with their husband to like drink and
Mhm.
every night. And they're like, I can't do that anymore because it's just increased in amount and frequency. So those whole social aspects. Oh, and then there's always like, how can I get through an event? Like I'll be so boring. I won't be able to talk to anyone. I have social anxiety. These are real fears
Yeah.
and it's a thing.
Mhm.
And I can't sit here and say you're not going to lose friends. I cannot sit here and
Yeah.
say your relationships are not going to change. I can't promise you're going to be comfortable in every social situation.
Mhm.
You probably won't be. But what I can say is that you have to think about are those relationships centered around alcohol? And if they are, maybe I need to seek different relationships.
Yes.
It's not saying you can't still be friends with those
Right.
people. It's just about setting boundaries or choosing when you want to hang out and when you don't. Maybe you don't go to the winery, but you go to coffee together. Maybe you don't go to book club if there's a lot of wine there and it's a temptation for you.
Mhm.
Maybe you invite their family over for dinner. So, sometimes things have to change. And then also we have friends that just like they don't want to take no for an answer. It when we start to change our habits, it can be really hard for other people to get used to. It's hard for us to get used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's hard for our friends and family to get used to. And it's not because they want to see you fail
Right.
at all. It is because they want you to be happy and they want you to be comfortable and they want to offer you hospitality.
Yeah.
So if you keep that in mind, you can be a little more compassionate instead of being like, what? Why do they keep asking me? They're
Mhm.
just trying to get me to fail. And that is not the case. Same is true for sweets, right? It's
Yeah.
such a big thing.
Yeah.
So the thing that I always say is like, no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
So if somebody is offering you, just say no. No,
Mhm.
thank you. But what you can also do, because again, they're wanting to offer you hospitality, is offer them something back. Like, no, thank you, but I would love sparkling water with a lime in it if you
Mhm.
have it. I would love a soda. I would, so give them an opportunity to provide you with that hospitality again.
Yeah.
Now, some people are going to be like, what? Do you have a drinking problem? What do you have? Are you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pregnant? What are you trying to lose weight? Some people will do that. It is not very common that
Yeah.
people do that. So you can offer as much or as little information as you like. I
Yeah.
would say a lot of my clients will just say, no, thank you. Like I'm taking a break, or
Yeah.
I'm not really drinking right now, or it just does a number on my
Yeah.
body. I cannot tolerate it anymore. So whatever, you don't have to like get into I'm
Detailed
using it to
from.
cope with trauma, or like you don't have to
Yeah.
get deep with them. You don't have to talk about it. Just like it's not really that great for my mental and physical health, or I just feel
Yeah.
terrible afterward. And they can't argue with you because they're not the one that has to wake up the next morning and deal with feeling
Yep.
foggy or headache or lethargic and,
Yeah.
all those types of
Well, and
things.
I think I feel like you'd find it surprising how many people don't really mind. That's the other
Right.
thing. Like, I think we mind within us, and we create all these stories of what it means and what they're thinking and how we're making them feel. And I
Mhm,
think when we disconnect from that story and just realize that they have their story and we have ours, and
mhm,
then it's, I think, when we can really accept that no is a complete sentence. Like, no, thank you,
mhm,
and move on.
mhm,
It doesn't have to be like you said. You don't need to give so much explanation to people
mhm,
either. It can just simply be what you are comfortable with. And I
mhm,
remember for me, one of the things I shifted was I used to go out for coffee with friends in order. I remember it was like a caramel macchiato, a caramel latte, whatever. And then when I stopped eating sugar, my taste buds completely changed, and nothing tastes
mhm,
like sugar doesn't taste the same anymore unless I'm in Italy, apparently, because there
mhm,
everything is amazing. But no, but when I started going out with my best friend, I remember, and it took a minute for her to get used to the new reality. And I just allowed that space for her to be uncomfortable because it's how we connected. We would
mhm,
go out all the time, and not all the time because we don't live close by, unfortunately. But I remember we went out for coffee and I ordered a latte, and it was a plain latte, not no flavor, just coffee. And she was shaking. She was just shaking. She just looked at me all confused. And then she's like, what are you doing? She's like, don't you feel so restricted? And then I remember in that moment telling her the truth. And again, she's my best friend. It's a different level
mhm.
of the deal. It's not some sort of social gathering. She's the closest friend I
Right.
have. And I remember turning to her and being like, no, this is how I have found freedom because I was restricted before.
Mhm,
Like I was
mhm,
so addicted to sugar that I couldn't function. So actually being able to order without sugar, it's so freeing that I
mhm.
would never give it up. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm 3 years into the thing, and I have added sugar very little in my life, but it's just not as appealing as it used to be. And peanut butter is
Mhm,
non negotiable because it just now it smells terrible. The texture's
mhm,
terrible. My girls still eat it daily. They love it.
mhm,
And my husband loves it. And I'm always like, the smell is just so bad. It's just created this new reality for me. But
mhm,
it's like accepting that some people are going to be uncomfortable and that that's okay. Not
mhm.
creating extra judgment for ourselves because we have enough as it is on our own to then add somebody else's emotions.
Oh, absolutely. And so you're right. I'm glad that you pointed that out. Like people, a lot of times we think everybody's looking at us like,
Mhm.
oh, she doesn't drink, or, like, why isn't she drinking? And most, 9 times out of 10, people either don't notice or don't care.
Yeah.
Not that they don't care about you, but they don't,
They don't care that you do
that's
it
your
on their
choice.
own.
It doesn't bother
Mhm.
them one way or the
Yeah.
other. sometimes it can be a thing for those we're close to, though. I'm
Yes.
not saying this was with your friend, but sometimes we will have a friend who we always drink with, or we always,
Mhm.
whatever with. And then we choose to make a healthier choice for us. And they think, or maybe you're this person and your friend has decided to make a different choice than you. Maybe they're vegetarian or something.
Mhm.
And you start feeling guilty, like, are they judging me? Like, do they care that I'm eating this
Yeah.
hamburger? Do they care that I'm having this glass of wine? Are they judging me? Are they thinking I shouldn't? So I think that's the other aspect too. I think a lot of times we're
Yeah.
both judging each other when we don't need to be. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, like, it doesn't bother my husband drinks. It bothers me 0%. Like, he is very responsible. He has like one or two and that's it. And I'm like, how the heck do you do that? That's amazing. Like, I don't know what that's like.
I don't know that
But
experience with mine. Mine is like, I'll
I
eat
know,
3 cookies, do not gain weight, and it doesn't
yeah.
really matter. That bothers me.
Yeah, that's frustrating. That's frustrating. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm
No,
just
yeah.
like, it doesn't matter to me. And honestly, people who are intoxicated doesn't really bother me unless I feel like they're going to be a
Right.
harm to themselves or somebody else. So, or it's a close friend or someone, that I
Yeah.
see on a regular basis having an issue. But I think if we just have more compassion for each other and realize, like, I'm not judging you if you have if we went somewhere and you had a glass of wine, I know you don't drink, but if you had a glass of wine and I had a piece of cake, like, we wouldn't be judging each other's choices.
Yeah.
Like, you would just be
That's the thing.
like, good for you, and I'd be like, good for you, and that would just be it. So
Yeah.
I think being able to manage our minds around that is
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, and I think not believing every thought that pops in our minds because it's just our brains come up with a
Yes.
lot of reasons or a lot of realities. I'm putting them in quotation, by the way, if you're not watching the
Mhm.
video. It's just like this realities in our minds that feel so true. I'm making them
Mhm.
uncomfortable or they don't like me anymore. And all of these are realities that are not true in our heads. They're only
Mhm.
realities in our heads. And because I agree, and I think it's a loving thing too. Like I remember when I first started, now it's not such a big deal because she's so used to it now and we go out and she doesn't really think about it. But I remember always feeling uncomfortable because I was like, am I making her uncomfortable?
Mhm.
It's not so much about, oh gosh, me, but then I'm sure that it was happening in her head. It's like, am I making her uncomfortable for having a hamburger? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh goodness, no, you have your hamburger and I ordered the same thing, just no bread. Like it's really not a
Mhm.
big deal, but it's just getting used to that discomfort because it is uncomfortable, especially when you're changing something
Mhm.
so drastically in your life. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable. I was going to ask you too, how did your faith help you in that journey? Because I know for me it was such a big deal to quit eating, overeating, and lose the weight. God was the center of it. How was it for you?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was pretty away from the church. I mean, I would go to mass like on Christmas and Easter and Palm Sunday because palms are fun, and maybe Mother's Day if I wasn't hungover.
Oh no, did I lose you? Christy? Oh no, I lost her.
And
Christy.
I
Nope, hold on
went to
now.
AA. I remember going into the room and
Hold on,
saying,
freeze.
oh, go ahead.
I lost you.
Can you see me?
Yep, I can see you now. So I
I'm
need you to start
here.
back.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay. Where do you want me to start?
I think, oh my gosh, they're mowing outside. Is it as loud as it is for you, as it is for me? No?
I don't
Good.
hear it
Okay.
at all.
Um,
No.
no, you
Do you
start.
want to ask me the question again?
Yep, I can do
Okay.
that. Okay. Thank you. That's easy.
Okay.
No, I wanted to ask you too, how did your faith support you in the journey? Once you decided to quit, how did God play a role in that journey?
Mhm. Yeah, so God played a huge role in that in my journey because like I had said, I was away from the faith. I did have that experience that I described earlier, but I still wasn't fully back into like going to mass. I would go like Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, maybe Palm Sunday, but I didn't really think a lot about praying unless I needed something and all of that. But I will say that when I did get sober, I went to AA. And I remember like one of my first meetings, they usually have you, introduce yourself. I'm Christy, I'm an alcoholic, and they want you to share your experience, strength, and hope. So they want you to kind of tell your story and how you got there. And I would say almost every time, if I had to come into these rooms on my own power by willing myself to do it, I would not be here. I am here because God carried me in here and he pushes me every time.
Yeah.
And I really believe that to be true. And then the other thing was, and I had asked God for a lot of things in my life, very like superficial things, but when I was going to AA and I was sober, but I was still struggling. Like I was still struggling with like the urge and not being able to like be with my friends, quote unquote friends. And I remember telling God, I just cried out to him and I was like, God, please remove my desire to drink. Like I don't want to have that desire to drink anymore. And Carla, he did immediately. And that was like one of those shining moments where, you cry out in desperation. And because I had prayed for like this, that, and the other, and, thank God for unanswered prayers, like Garth Brooks sings, but, but that is so true. But this time when I just cried out to him, he did it. And so I think that was like his way of saying, you can trust me.
Yeah.
You can trust me. I healed you. Now, again, that doesn't make everything else better, but I promise you, I've never had the desire to drink again. That's different than like your mind playing tricks on you and being like, oh, I'm missing out, or I want to be like everybody else, or, I'm uncomfortable. It'd be nice to have XYZ. It's a different type of desire than that, like actual physical urge and almost like getting so close to actually doing it. Like I've never gotten even remotely close to drinking because of that. So he showed me then that I could trust him, but it has taken me, it's still a work in progress. I'm still working on that, but he just shows up for me time and time again and has answered my prayers in the most amazing way. And I learned that God doesn't not answer our prayers. He always answers our prayers, but sometimes the answer is no. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, okay. But it's like a no but, right? Because he always has something else for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been number one, always there. I haven't always walked the straight line or been involved. I consider myself a revert. And but I came back into the fullness of faith like after when my husband was received into the church back in I don't know, I think it was like 2012.
Wow. It's so beautiful too, because God has done such an amazing, the word that's coming in my mind right now is twist. Like he just twisted your story into something so beautiful. And that's what I love in those struggles, right? There, that we can never lose hope. That there is nothing that God allows that he doesn't turn into something beautiful. And like your story is that beautiful example of this. It was such a dark thing, and yet he turned it into this miracle that now you get to share with women and empower other women that they can do it too. And this, I am now also so grateful for the struggles I had, for those extra 100 pounds that I had to lose, because I would have never become the person I am if I didn't have to go through that. And it was very, very hard. I remember for me, I felt the same way of I'm just gonna die so much sooner and leave my I'm gonna cry, leave my girls so much sooner than I could if I changed this habit. And it was very, I mean, it's not enough to say it's life changing to leave that habit, but it you're alive again. You're just you we're
Mhm.
walking through the motions, and then all of a sudden it's like he flips everything and creates something so beautiful. It's just impressive to me to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just feel like those chains just lifted off of
Hmm.
you, those ties, those strongholds just cut like off of you. And you're right. I mean, you said it earlier, like people will say, "Oh, but you can't have a drink, you can't toast at
Yeah.
your wedding, you can't do this and that." And I'm like, I don't need that. Like, look what I can do. Like, I would
Yeah.
not, again, be doing what I'm doing. I would not have the family I have. I would
Yeah.
not be involved in my parish, in the school. Like, I don't know what would have happened to me. I
Hmm.
probably would not even be on this earth, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. So scary.
So you're right. It is a miracle, and it does show that God makes beauty from ashes, right? So if we're willing, if we give
Yes.
him our yes, if when he reaches out his hand to us, we're willing to take it and
Yeah.
say, I don't know what's going to happen, but all right, I have no other choice. I'm going to trust you. And he lifts us out of the deep and breathes new life into our dead bones. He just he's so good. And I'll read the story of the prodigal son and I bawl like every time. I mean, there's so many ways that God just provides provisions for us, that he reaches
Hmm.
out to us, and we miss it so many times. But when looking back, I mean, I all those times that I thought God wasn't with me, when I look back, I'm like, look how protected you were.
Yeah.
Look what could have happened to you. You were so protected. The hand of God was over you the entire time.
Yeah.
You felt like you were in darkness, but I was with you the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to see when you're in it. And that's what the devil wants us to do. He wants us not to see the goodness of God. He wants us
Hmm.
to think that God is holding out on us, just like in the Garden of Eden, right? God really said you couldn't eat of that tree? What? He doesn't want you to eat of that. I mean, look at how beautiful it is, just
Yes.
tempting
Hmm.
Eve into thinking God was holding out on her. He doesn't want you to know. He doesn't want you to
Yeah.
be like him, which they already were like him, but whatever.
Yeah.
But
Don't
he
remind me
he
right now.
uses
I don't
that.
like Eve right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yes. And he takes lie and he coats it in a
Yes.
thin layer of truth so that it's so easy for us to swallow.
Yes.
And that's what he does with us all the time. Like you cannot parent. You can't be a good mother if you don't like take that time for yourself and have that glass of wine at night. Like you
Yeah.
need to do that. That's the only way you're going to get relief. That's the only way you're going to unwind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm
And
here to say there's so many ways.
yes, and I think this was actually I saw somewhere that the reason why we struggle so much with alcohol and food addiction is because that was the first temptation. It's
Hmm.
the easiest
Hmm.
temptation to put in front of us. It's not a big deal. It's just a little drink. It's just a little cupcake. It's not a big deal. But it takes us away from God because it puts
Hmm.
our solution, our relief, our safety into a human thing instead of God, where it should be. So for him, he has all the win in there because he's just like, oh, great, she's not with God anymore. She's just distracted with something else, whether that is
Hmm.
social media, and there's so many things, right? But for both of us, it was specifically something that we were putting into our body. And it's such an easy lie for us to consume, like you said. But yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, I love this. This is so good. But I'm like looking at the time. I'm like, I've tried to keep the podcast in a timely manner. But it's just so good. And I want you to share an advice for listeners who are struggling, whether they are noticing that they don't like their pattern with when it comes to drinking, or if they're struggling with social aspects and whatever, what would you like to share as an advice for
Sure.
them?
Yeah, so the first thing I would like to share is if you are finding that alcohol is becoming a problem for you, and it doesn't have to be an alcohol problem. So I
Yeah.
don't want you to think like, oh, I have an alcohol problem. It's just causing chaos for you. It's keeping you from living the life you want. It just is kind of holding you down. You don't like the way that that maybe the amount or frequency that you're consuming, you're trying to set boundaries and you're not being able to do that. So I want you to recognize that, just let go of the shame around that and get curious about it. That's
Mhm.
what the work I do is, whether it's one-on-one or if you listen to my podcast or my free things, whatever it is, my message is just pull it out and look at it. Don't
Yes.
don't hide it, because the more you shove it in the closet, you're just adding more and more and more to it. Just pull it out and look at it. Say, how much am I drinking? Be very honest with yourself. How much am I drinking? How often am I drinking? And then just say, can can I cut this in, can I take a fourth of this away? Can I cut it in half? And just kind of go from there. You don't have to just rip the band-aid off like all at once. You can slow it down and say, if I drink half as much, do I still experience that chaos, or am I okay? Am I fighting against the urges and it's really difficult? Or do I feel a lot of peace when I do choose to do it or not?
Yeah.
So just doing that. And then also when you do drink, like let's say you set a boundary and you're like, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then you do in the morning. Don't beat yourself up. Just look at it like a scientist. Think like, why did I do that? Like, did I react? Was there a trigger? What did I think? What were the facts? And then that will help you as you plan going forward. And so that kind of leads me to my next thing, which is social situations, but it also goes for, as we're trying to discern the level of sobriety that works for us, is to plan. So when you go into a social situation, before you get into your pretty dress and get in the car and go over there, I want you to say, how much do I want to drink? What am I going to tell people when they ask? If they ask, they probably won't. You think they will, but they probably won't. But still have something that you can say in case they do. And then just, what are like 2 or 3 things that you could drink that you would like that are non-alcoholic. So like I said, for me, I'll go and I might order like a virgin mojito, or, if they don't have the stuff to make that, then I'll just usually get like a sparkling water with some lime in it. I'm not really a big soda drinker, but if you like soda. So just thinking about having a few things that you can have, that will make you feel like you're part of everything. And if they give it to you in like a kid glass or a plastic glass, tell them to put it in a nice fancy glass, because that's rude.
That is.
And it makes you feel better.
Yes.
So yeah. So those types of things, just planning, and then just being really confident in your choice and knowing that you're choosing for you. If somebody asks you, do you want something to drink? And they keep asking you, just keep saying no until they leave you alone.
Yeah.
Or just look at them and be like, why does it matter to you so much if I'm drinking or not?
Yes.
Because that says something about them. So I would just remind yourself, they're not going to have to wake up in the morning with the choice,
Yes.
but
And
you do.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is so empowering. Is when you remember that you're choosing for your future self. You're
Mhm,
choosing for the you tomorrow morning,
mhm,
not for the person in front of you. And like that's why earlier you said, oh, it doesn't hurt anybody. The devil tells us, oh, it doesn't hurt anybody. It hurts us. It doesn't hurt
mhm,
anybody else. It's true, but it hurts
mhm.
us. And so it's like that, choosing ahead of time how you want to feel is so beautiful. It's so freeing, and yeah, it's amazing. Also,
Mhm.
the other thing that I love asking guests to share is their favorite either prayer or quote in a saint.
Well, it's hard for me to choose a favorite saint because I love so many saints. One of my favorite quotes, though, that I repeat to myself often is by Saint Bernadette, from Saint Bernadette from Our Lady of Lourdes. And one of the things that she said that I love is, it's not my job to no, my job is to inform, not to convince. And so
Mm,
I love that because I like to tell people about the Catholic faith and about Jesus and about sobriety. And so when I'm informing people about any of that, whether it's my faith or sobriety or the benefits of being alcohol free, I'm not trying to convince anyone
yeah.
that they should live like me, that they should think like me, but it's my job to just provide that information, and then the Lord does the rest, right? So
So
I
beautiful.
find so much freedom in that, and I love that one.
I love it. That's awesome. I have enjoyed this conversation and I want you to share where listeners can find you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a
You're
blessing
welcome.
getting to speak with you. It's been so fun, and I love talking with you. And just to put a little plug, so I would love it if people would go to the Catholic Sobriety podcast, and I'm going to have Carla on in a few weeks. So
It's gonna be so
I'm
fun.
excited for that. Unless the baby comes, which hopefully
No, no, no,
hopefully
no.
he'll
Baby will
hang on
stay
for a
in for a
while.
few more
Yeah,
weeks.
he's staying. But yeah, so you can find me at the Catholic Sobriety Podcast. I try to have guests. I have lots of amazing guests with all kinds of information. And then I have information and episodes that I provide that are just me. You can find me on Instagram. I love Instagram. I don't know why. Like, I don't
Same.
really do Facebook that much, and I'm definitely not a TikToker, but I love Instagram. So you can always connect with me there. And then my website is thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. I do have a free guide. It's called Drink Less or Not at All. And it has a ton of tools in there that I use with my coaching clients. And you can have it for free, and it'll help you get curious about your alcohol use, and it will give you some tools so that you can learn how to manage it better.
Beautiful. Go check her out. She's phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Carla.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this community. If you are enjoying these episodes, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you are notified the next time the episodes come out. Also, right now, I have some spots open to work with me one-on-one. This program will change your life. I 100% believe that without God, we can't. But without us, God won't. I will help you step into your power. I will help you take the actions that you need to take in order for you to create the most fulfilling and aligned life. A life that feels aligned with you and with God. And that life is available to you right now. Check the link in the description to reserve a time to chat with me. I will see you then.